Hello again, everybody. This is Bobby Mills for the Independent.com with Bobby Mills Independent Sports Talk. Once again, brought to you by Cornhusker Toyota Honda. We have Jimmy Langen once again, Eric Williams behind the camera, Zach Mayhew and Tina Martinez over in the corner peering at us. We're going to talk about high school playoffs. We're into the quarterfinals in 8-man and in regular 11-man all the way from A to C2. It's semifinal time, crunch time actually, all four. So we'll start with Class A first. Does that sound good? All right. Omaha North rolling right along, fellas. How about that?
And, Kearney High played him pretty well.
Really,
a little early in the game.
54-14, but they had him, whatever. They did play well.
Yeah, no one else has played him that tough for a quarter. Would you guys agree with that or not?
Yeah. Brandon Cool should be proud.
Eric, what did you think? I mean, honestly, in Class A, you've watched that probably more than I have. And I don't think, Bobby, you probably watched quite a bit of it too. But.
Yeah. Omaha North is rolling like we've said on here, and that's just it's tough to match up against them. I mean, individually they've got so much talent on that field that even a unit just can't match up good enough to take away every weakness that or every strength that they have. But like you said, 54-14, not a bad showing for Kearney. Lincoln East, a Cinderella story, I think, right now going into this. They're playing with house money, going to Omaha North. They've already played them once, so that shock thing is going to be not there for them per se. So Lincoln East, maybe give them a fight. I don't know, but I still say North is in the finals in Lincoln.
And Lincoln East wins, but you know what though? Lincoln Pius actually didn't play Omaha North too bad. It was 34-6, and they didn't take their starters out. So, Lincoln East might give them something they haven't seen and give them a run for the while. Right now, the talk is this Omaha North team the best of all time? That's where we're talking among sports scribes, and honest to goodness, that's where it's at. And that's, you shouldn't do that, but that's where it's at.
Well, they must be the best all time I'm from Kearney. My son played at Kearney. I live in Kearney, and we're talking about, hey, Kearney played pretty well. They scores 54-14. Now, if you're saying, when do you think the last time Kearney was happy getting beat 54-14? You know what I mean? So yeah, that must be a heck of a football team, guys.
Well, and normally a good football team in Class A in high school, you're probably getting, about 5 or 6 stud athletes on that team. They've got they're too deep on every spot that could probably be playing any Class A football team and be pretty competitive. So, as far as the depth goes, this is probably the best team that Class A has seen in Nebraska.
They're still thinking when Calvin Strong might be the best, but it's Omaha North. But how good is this team? When I'm doing my all-state, trying to get started on it, I've got to erase some of the names from every position from Omaha North. Can't do that. Yeah. So that's going to be... Well, in the bottom of the bracket, Creighton Prep beats Millard North. I would think this is an upset, except for Millard North did not have their leading ground gainer, Noah Mick. And they're already missing people. Gertis and Dylan Price are out. So they finally get the thing rolling, and then Mick gets hurt, and A.J. Hubner goes off for I don't know how many passing yards. So Prep wins the ball game, and they get a shot at Bell West, who had an 8-man type game for scoring. To win that game over Millard West, and how do you score that many points on Millard West, who bases their football team on defense? I bet Kurt's ready to have a stroke after that. That's a tough one, but that's why. So now you have Prep on that bottom, matching up with Bell West. If I'm going to that game, I better have about 3 tablets full of paper to keep stats, and Jalen Bradley goes off for 496 yards in that one. But boy, if you want to predict that game, you have that, and I don't know who to tell you, because Prep does not have a great running game.
No, and I think Bellevue West's running game is going to play the factor. It's going to take that clock away from Creighton Prep on the offensive side, and if they can't get the aerial attack going right away, which Bellevue West probably doesn't have the greatest defense, I don't think either. So. If they can keep Creighton Prep's offense on the sideline by their running game, I think that's going to be the difference there.
I think it will. Looks like Omaha North, doesn't it? Class B, Elkhorn South beat Aurora. Aurora played them good in the first half, another one of those Kearney-Omaha North deals. So now with a crazy home team does not get home field advantage all the way through, Elkhorn South gets to go out to McCook after McCook made the long trip to Blair. Thoughts on that one?
Yeah, the only thing is Elkhorn South has been playing so well. I think McCook maybe caught a break with the 4 teams in their pod, I guess I should say.
They did.
Caught a break there with who's in there a little bit. But hey, if there's any place that maybe somebody could upset Elkhorn South, I think it's going to be in McCook. It's not going to be in Memorial Stadium, and it's sure not going to be at Elkhorn South.
And you look at Elkhorn South throughout the year of their travel. They never had to go 5.5 hours, 6 hours to play a football game. And I think, like you said, that's where it's going to happen. It's not going to be the trip to Lincoln in the state finals. It's going to be having to travel 6 hours to McCook and play out there in a tough environment. And against a good McCook team. Nothing against McCook, but they're a great football team, and you're making a long trek.
And they don't like to have points scored on them. You can count them on 2 hands almost. And then the other side, Omaha Skutt beats Norris, but not easily. Norris 35-28. That sets up a Skutt-Gretna matchup, and of course Gretna handled Beatrice like I thought. That's going to be a good football game. Skutt and Gretna I think. I don't remember even who won the earlier game, but holy cow, that's going to be tough to pick.
Yeah, and you talked about the Norris game we did last week and how that was going to be a tough one for them. And I think maybe they were overlooking it a little bit to the Gretna rivalry.
I think so. It could happen.
And a rematch there. So I think it's going to be a great one. It's going to be at Gretna. I'll just take the home field advantage as being the difference there.
I do too, and I think if anybody's going to beat, it's setting up right, because if anybody beats Elkhorn South and McCook doesn't, Skutt and Gretna have the best shot of anybody that had been in the playoffs. So in Class C, when everybody's talking about the big thing, we'll get to that in a minute, but Wahoo Newman goes out to Ogallala. It wasn't like a year ago. It was a bad score. They win 62 to something. I don't remember what it was. Easy victory for them. But Kearney Catholic goes in, handles Wahoo Public pretty easy. Now it's Kearney Catholic against Newman. You're close to Kearney, Jim. What do you think of that? Do you think Kearney Catholic can beat Wahoo?
Well, I thought Kearney Catholic, we talked about it early in the year, that Kearney Catholic has got one of the 6 teams that could win. O'Neill was the other, and then we talked about that group with Norfolk Catholic, Columbus SCOTUS, Wahoo Newman, and that area. But I think that's the only people that I could see winning it. Well, now, we talked about Boys Town and said, hey, you just don't know week to week maybe what Boys Town's going to have. So we put them in the mix too. So now we've got what we have. We got teams that we think can win it, but Kearney Catholic on offense, I guarantee you, the way they throw the ball around, they need some nice weather, I think. They can do some other things. They got a lot of seniors, so they could win a different way. Yeah. But if they could get a nice field, a dry field, and they can get out there and play and throw that ball around, they're going to be very difficult to stop.
You know, you looked at Wahoo. Wahoo was up there at the beginning of the year, and they were pretty consistent throughout the year until they had to play Wahoo Newman. They ended up losing that one. I don't know if that kind of deflated them a little bit, but you look at their scores in the playoffs. You know, they beat Gothenburg 36-14, and then they lose to Kearney Catholic 41-25. I don't know if they had all their chips on that Wahoo Newman game, or if there was something else as a factor there. But it's kind of surprising that Kearney Catholic handled a good team, a consistent team throughout the year, as well as they did.
Kearney Catholic's a scary football team. So when Kearney Catholic, they've got a great shot against Newman.
Yeah, and Kearney Catholic, really, if anybody went to the game, they really outplayed SCOTUS. I mean, that game was almost 27. They had a touchdown called back. And so there was some stuff early in the game that kind of let SCOTUS open the door and keep them in the ball game. And then SCOTUS took advantage of that, being a state championship caliber team year in and year out. Yeah.
When's the last time you saw a quarterback get rid of the ball when he plants his foot as quick as Master? Average of about 2.8 seconds is how long it takes him to get rid of that ball, and it's right on target.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you have the Nebraska offensive line, you better get rid of it in a hurry, too. Because the way Tommy Armstrong Jr. can do it, and he's had to do it for a lot of years in a row, but people always say, hey, you know, what's wrong with Tommy? Needs to plant better. I'll tell you what, you better plant pretty quick with as much time as he's got to throw it.
Well, that's not my choice. And then the big one, they say O'Neill upsets David City Aquinas. I didn't think it was an upset, and I have the utmost respect for Aquinas. The thing I think that concerned Aquinas' coaches was their defensive backfield. And Thamer's a much better quarterback than we know. They haven't had any stats posted anywhere, so who knew? But he can throw the football, and he can scramble, and they're tough at every position.
Did you guys see the catch the kid made from O'Neill? What a great catch. Great job by the officials getting to position. I mean, it was such a tough call. I mean, if you get to have replay, you could see that he made the correct call. But what a tremendous catch and play. And like I said, hats off to the officials. for being where they were supposed to be. Guys right to the goal line, both guys were there. It wasn't like everybody looked at each other. Immediately made the call and said, he's good, foot's down. We got a touchdown.
I believe, wasn't that a third down call too?
Could have been.
Third or fourth down, I think. It was a nail biter. I mean, it was a great play right in the corner of the end zone. Heck of a catch. I mean, going up and making the catch that he did, getting the foot down and winning a very tough, probably the best football game being played, I think, last weekend, just as far as intensity and an atmosphere goes.
And then Boys Town beats Arlington. I'm not sure whether Arlington had their running back, Garris Carr. They may have. I don't know if he was 100%. But now Boys Town, they host O'Neill at the Corral. So I'm going to go with O'Neill in this one because I think they're catching Boys Town at the right time. I don't think they're afraid of anybody. And I don't think they care who they draw if they win.
No, I'm going to stay on the O'Neill bandwagon. I've been on it since you and I talked. Us three talked early on this season. I've been on the O'Neill bandwagon. I really like what they've got there. So yeah, I'm going with O'Neill as well.
Do you think O'Neill people watch the show and are in the independent area? Will O'Neill people? We get some people because I guarantee you, I don't think anybody from Boys Town is going to be watching.
I don't think they'll be watching.
I'm going to go O'Neill right now. O'Neill.
What a diplomat. Yeah. I don't think Boys Town will be watching though. Yeah, anyway. Class C2, UTAN beat St. Paul. You were there, I understand.
Yeah, UTAN as a 6-3 as a 16 seed, that's a tough spot for them. I mean, they are a very, very good football team. Their only losses this year were to Centennial, Wilbur Claytonia, and Battle Creek, 1, 2, and 3. I mean, that's their regular season losses. They went to St. Paul, and they just, from the get-go, they were much better than St. Paul that night. Rubleski threw several picks that night. They played great defense. They were able to run the football. And I think UTAN has the ability to possibly go and get Wilbur Claytonia this week.
I didn't think, I've been saying all along that Wilbur Claytonia is human and they can somebody can beat him. But they pitched that shutout at Hartington CC 27-0. But I still like Wilbur Claytonia. But I think you can't score on the Harley. But UTAN doesn't have a great offensive. I mean, their offensive set is simple. They don't have any stars.
And the big thing, St. Paul, I noticed their defensive ends just got jammed in, and they were able to run around the edge, and they had the speed to go around. UTAN's going to be the host team in that one too, so maybe have an edge. That's going to be a great football game as well this weekend.
I'll tell you one thing while we're on this. There's been an argument, and people have been talking about, oh, you got too many teams in the playoffs. There's too many teams that are going to the state football playoffs. 32's too many. Well, I tell you what. UTAN was the 16 seed. If they win the state championship, I guarantee you the NSAA, with all kinds of activities directors, are going to be talking about how close this team was to being left out, not even getting in. Yeah. And I know a couple of years ago, it might have been in the 80s, Ansley was the 20th team in out of 32. And they got second.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think there's times where, maybe, you need to look at it a little bit and maybe 24 and play that play-in game if 32 is too many. Because you do have some, when you go with 32, you end up with some 2-6 teams getting in there. And, they really have no chance to win. But 6-2 teams and 5-3s, if they've had an injury or they played a schedule like you talked about, they got a chance to do some damage in the playoffs.
And UTAN didn't seem like a 16 seed, but that's what it was. Nonetheless, it is what it is. And then Battle Creek and Oakland Craig, which is a battle royal. Oakland Craig knocked them out last year. Well, they got them this year, and it was not a contest, I guess. So they're going to meet up with Crofton, who goes to Valentine and beats an upstart Valentine team. This Battle Creek and Crofton have got, once again, Magic Circle game. I don't know who to pick in that one. I think Battle Creek might get there. What do you think?
I think Battle Creek does upend Crofton here, but I want to give credit to Valentine on a great season they had this year. They were a 2 seed going into the playoffs, only 8-1, and I bet probably O'Neill was probably that loss would be my guess.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
But that was a heck of a season right there. So, but yeah, Battle Creek. I'm gonna have. I'll actually put Battle Creek and UTAN in the finals.
Wouldn't that be great? Oh, that'd be something else.
Real quick, I think Valentine lost a team in South Dakota, just so we know.
That's that winner South Dakota team.
And the same thing with Kearney Catholic. I mean, when we go back on them, they lost to a team in Wichita, Kansas, too.
I don't think that team in winner's hardly been scored on
that's
2
right,
years.
right, yeah.
Maybe same with down in Kansas.
Right.
But
not to correct you in front of everybody, but yeah, okay.
He's just corrected.
Yeah, right in front of everybody. The show.
But that's what he's a teacher, superintendent.
Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do, I think. Yeah.
So now we go down to the quarterfinals now in classes D1 and D2. That would be 8-man football, folks. Palmer, I'm gonna go with the Palmer tomorrow night and watch Chambers, Wheeler, Central, Ewing, and all those guys go against one football team. Chambers, Wheeler, Central, Ewing gets Daniel Leibold back, I understand, and if you don't know who he is, he's a 1,000-yarder from last year from a sophomore, but I believe he broke a bone right here and just waited and waited for his doctor to clear him. I think he's okay tomorrow. This makes this football game of two undefeated teams even more intense than it already is. I don't know what, I was going to pick Palmer before, but now you got CWC, was in the finals last year with their star back. I don't know what to say.
Do you think the winner of that one probably makes the finals of that group right there?
Well, I don't know, because you've got Elm Creek playing against Burwell in the next. Boy, that's a tough match.
Palmer only beat Elm Creek by 4 points earlier in the year, so I mean, if you get a 4-point game, anything can happen.
I would hate
and Elm Creek hasn't really been tested. I mean, they've had some games where they've been close for a while, but boy, they've been able to pull away. Offensively, they got some touch. To say that I don't think it's like Omaha North,
no.
Elkhorn South.
Oh no,
you know, I'm saying that these four.
I'm just saying out of that group. I mean, that's gonna be a great matchup right there between those two teams. But I just didn't know if they would be able to go on even after that game. Would they still have enough to go on after that?
I'll make a point here. Hey Zach, come here. Stand right next to me. Just come here. I'm gonna show you something. Show you something about it. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now you see the size difference.
Come back.
Okay. Now there we go. Now you can go back, Zach, and I'll make my point. Size makes a difference in 8-man football, and I don't know whether Palmer has the size to compete with. But they beat Burwell. Now, you remember that.
By 4 points.
Whatever, 40-38, 42-38 or whatever. But, man, Elm Creek is big and so physical. And you've seen them, and I'm not saying Palmer's, but there's a size difference that bothers me. And Burwell's got the same size, but Palmer beat him. So who wins Elm Creek Burwell? Well, that's going to be a tough one. And I don't think you can comment on it because they've got one of the finest officials in the state, ladies and gentlemen, right here.
Hey, I worked Elm Creek, and last year I got to work Burwell, their semifinal game to go to state. And both teams are very well coached. I'm looking forward to the game. It's going to be exciting for us. And as officials, that's what you like to do. You like to work games that are this magnitude. It'll be a lot of fun.
Isn't that a great facility, though?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that
Elm Creek, those are like, what are the Colorado Rockies or Denver Broncos?
It was the Denver Broncos seats they have in the stadium. Yeah. It's great. So that's the matchup on the top bracket. The bottom bracket is Henderson Heartland goes up to Beamer City Park to play West Point Guardian Angels Central Catholic. And last week I watched the boy from Heartland, Austin Stewart, break the 8-man single game season rushing record.
How many yards did he get? How many yards does he have? What's it
He's got 2,996 yards. He needs 14 yards to be the all-time single season leader in history.
Who had that record? Was some kid?
Mr. Strong, the kid Kevin Strong from Omaha North, who's up at South Dakota State now. So, boy, West Point GACC's good. They've got 150,000 kids out for football. Not really, but I think every kid in school, like Fall City St. Bernard, goes out for football. But that's going to be tough. Boy, I know where my heart is, but I've seen Dave Ritter's team up there at West Point play, and it's going to be hard.
You talk about D1 scores in some of these other classes that we've had, some of those big names, 62, 47, those types of scores. Guardian Angels, I mean, 18 and 18, that's all they've given up in the 2 games that they've played so far. So for D1 defense, that's outstanding to do 18 points per game there. So I got to go with, I think, the team that's got the defense. I agree with you. I'd love to see the Heartland team keep going.
I love them.
I mean, the kid's able to run, and he'll get the record.
Yep.
But I don't know if he's going to be able to run over this Guardian Angels team.
And it's not a one-man team. Heartland has more than that. And then in the next game, the very bottom of the bracket, Nebraska City Lures beats an up-and-coming Howells Dodge team from Mike Spears. Good job, Mike. And they get rewarded by going up and playing Creighton, who obliterates Tri-County 76-33. I'm afraid I'm going to have to go with Creighton, and maybe go with Creighton all the way, because that's a tough thing. Boy, Creighton and Elm Creek seems like a good matchup. But
I think that's a defensive deal too, where you go with the defensive team. They gave up 13 points and 6 points in their 2 games. So
giving it defensively, teams that can play defense, and they're the ones that you really have to watch. I know we played Hayes Center when I was coaching one year, and they gave up like, I think it was 16 points in 8 games.
Is that one Scotty, what's his name?
Yeah, we went down there and scored 7 on them. All we did was really upset them, and they just ran up the score on us. Oh, man. Yeah, Jesse, we got to say, one of our guys got loose and got 7. We're kind of celebrating for a little bit. Why don't they paid, but we had to pay for
victory, right?
We had to pay for those 7 points. Yeah, that's right.
He made Scotty Jorgensen mad, too,
Yeah,
and Scotty scored a bunch of points. So, well, that takes care of D1. D2, we have Falls City Sacred Heart, who beat Osceola. I was at that game. Zach was at the game. Why did he throw that pass? You know, he's probably mulling over TJ is over that one for Osceola, but what do, you know? But Doug Goltz is pretty smart, so Doug gets to go up to Bloomfield, who came down and kicked Lawrence Nelson around 50-20. Doug Goltz is smart. They're big. I just showed you how big Zach is. They've got 2 guys on the right side that are that size, I think. And, they're over 300 pounds. But, boy, Bloomfield, what a quarterback. Quentin Moles, and, boy, he runs a lot faster than a mole. I don't know what to say on this one. And, that's a long drive from Falls City to Bloomfield, but I don't know about these 8-man teams. I don't know if they care how far they go. Of course, they travel on those comfortable Bluebird buses, too. So.
Those great buses, yeah. I'm going to go with the home team. I think Bloomfield probably will pull that one out. Again, you kind of look at the defensive matchups and look at, going through Lawrence Nelson the way they did and getting the home field game against Falls City. So I'll go Bloomfield.
Jimmy, you're probably neutral. So the next game is a rematch, BDS and Humphrey St. Francis. How do I know you're neutral? Maybe you want to make a comment on that.
I didn't really.
Okay.
I'm okay with that one.
Okay.
Falls City Sacred Hearts have 75-0 in the playoffs at one time, and Bloomfield's doing this. We got 2 teams, and I'll tell you what's going to happen a lot of times is you have 2 teams that are 12-0, and they start playing each other, and there's not much difference in 8-man, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's 60-30.
Well, you don't know.
And you don't know which team it's going to be. But
yeah, that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah,
so
right.
Whatever. I don't think it's going to be 7-6, but
no, it's 7-6.
But you have this next matchup: BDS defending D1 champion against Humphrey St. Francis defending D2 champion. How can that be? BDS drops down. So this game's in Shickley, and St. Fran's beats Wynot with they might not have had their quarterback and running back. And then people at Henderson are saying, did you see Randolph scored 30 points on BDS? Well, what they didn't know was BDS was up 50-0 at the end of the first quarter, and they don't really care how many points the other team scores in that case.
Well, nice job as a coach. Hey, I'm going to take my hats off just to know that situation. When you get it 50-0, I mean, is your goal a shutout?
Well, come on.
You treat people correctly, you know what I mean? When you do that, the job's to win, and you treat people correctly, and you're teaching your kids some social skills by not having it. We used to celebrate undefeated, untied, and unscored upon seasons.
Yeah, but
that's nice if you're beating 7-0, but if you're beating 48-0, you're leaving your first team in there so you can talk about it. I don't know if that's right. And of course, that was in the 1960s, and times have changed a little bit, but you don't do that now. That's not correct. Back in the 1950s, my dad used to coach, and he told me that they used to punt on first down. That's what they did. That was a socially accepted skill. If you got somebody down pretty good and they punted to you, you just punted it right back to them, and that's what you were supposed to do.
Boy,
isn't that something?
I would like to see that.
1950s. Yeah, you did that, and that was kind of a social thing. If anybody was coaching then at that time, you could verify it, call in.
I would like to have seen that time this day and age. I dare a coach to do that.
Well, they punted on first down. That was instead of running 3 plays, because now there for a while you just ran a fullback dive and then you punted on 4th down.
Of course, now they say he's spit in our face.
They'd be upset if you tried that now.
Yeah, then you'd have a lawyer involved. Anyway, beat it. Anybody want to dare to pick that one? I'll go with BDS. I think they're just too tough. Their defense, they do whatever they want. They run whatever offense you want. They're big like Zach, and I don't know.
I want to go Humphrey St. Francis going against the D1 champion from last year. I think you can have a little spark there. I'll go with the D2 champion from last year against D1.
All right. Then the bottom of the bracket, Mike Koziel's bunch up at Sargent, Twin Loop, disposed of Garden County out there in Oshkosh, and then Blue Hill beat St. Mary's. So now you have Blue Hill going up to, I don't know where the game is, where maybe in
Sargent.
Sargent, isn't Sargent?
I'm pretty sure they'll
play. Driving?
You driving? Blue Hill?
I'm riffing in Elm Creek. If you want to go to that one. come on along. You can go with me there. I might try to get you on the sideline free. Now, you won't have any trouble, and I don't think you will.
No,
this show, we're part of the NSAA now.
So Blue Hill, boy, I'll go for a twin loop in this one because I think they're shooting for a chance at Sandhills, Thedford. Well, maybe Mullen, but we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, I kind of like to see the 1-2 matchup there, Twin Loop versus Mullen in that situation. So I'll go Twin Loop as well. Excuse me,
Sandhills,
Mullen.
I don't
Sandhills beat him.
If Mullen plays again, I'm going to be surprised.
Sandhills.
I mean, I don't want to hurt the credibility of the show here a little bit.
I overlooked it.
But anybody that's watching, I think we're going to have a little bit of trouble.
See, that's where this D2.
I mean, I don't want to correct, like I said, I don't want to correct anybody.
I started looking down here.
I don't want to correct anybody, but I don't think Mullen.
Okay, I'll go Sandhills, Thedford, and going on to play Twin Loop. They beat Ashley Litchfield. They beat the 2 and the 3 to go on to face the 1.
Well, Ansley Litchfield's still alive. They haven't lost yet.
But now tell me about this. Ansley Litchfield just pummeled Loomis. Tell me how. They started out well and then they went through a dip. What is making them good? The roadie kid, or what do they do?
Well, they're running the ball pretty well right now.
Are they big in the line?
Well, I tell you what, they're big. They're big with the roadie carrying the ball. They've got some guys that can play. There's another linebacker that's playing really well defensively. And what they do is they put Roadie on one side on defense, and he's a defensive end. And they kind of put 6 other guys over here and go, okay, you want to run against these 6, or do you want to try this one guy? And I tell you what, if you try the one guy, it's not working out really well, but you're not doing very well with these other 6. So I think, defensively, they've got it set up pretty well. And the roadie kid's a very good running back. Now, here's the thing that could happen, and it happens sometimes in 8-man. There's been games where their score is 36-0 at halftime.
Oh,
but one guy gets hurt and can't play the second half, and then it's 50-36 final. And everybody goes, well, we made some second half adjustments. And, that's not what happened. The kid got hurt, and, we just
made the adjustments.
Yeah. But the roadie kid is really good. But the coaching staff did a tremendous job at the game. Loomis, now hats off to Loomis. You guys, Loomis went, I think last year maybe 2-6.
Yeah.
And they're 9-0. They won 8-0, won a game 9-0, and they beat Ansley earlier in the season in like 3 overtimes. Yeah. So they knew going in it was going to be a tough game. But I think maybe Ansley's had some. Ansley Litchfield kind of figured out what they wanted to do defensively. But I can't say that for sure but I do know they lost 4 games.
Yeah, they have.
So they must have made some adjustments. Yeah.
And they had one guy, I think, or 1 or 2 that were hurt that are healthy.
And it's like we always say, it's always hard to beat a team twice in a season.
Yeah.
And then Sandhills, Thedford. Okay, Mullen wins the earlier game, 30-6, but that second game of the season, Sandhills, Thedford entered the season with injuries. Now they're healthy. They knocked Mullen off. Now Ansley Litchfield has a shot, and these 2 teams have had to play. Maybe not.
I don't think so. I don't think they played. No, Sandhills, Thedford lost. Now, if they did play, I could be mistaken.
I think you're right, Jimmy.
But I think Sandhills, Thedford, their 2 losses were to Mullen earlier in the year and to the Sargent group.
Okay,
that's the 2 that
games.
Sandhills, Thedford lost to. So I don't know if Litchfield played them. You can look that up, but I think Litchfield was playing like was played SCM. They got beat by they beat Pleasanton. They lost to Loomis. They were playing a different pod. Help us out here.
Sandhills, Thedford beat them 64-0 early on.
Beat Ansley Litchfield 64-0.
Yeah.
I don't think
different team.
The roadie kid didn't play that game.
No, he has been out. He missed something.
Yeah, he didn't. I don't think
that
he
was
played.
Back in September. So.
I don't think he played that game, and I don't think he played the week before either. But yeah,
there's your difference. One guy.
Yeah, one guy. There you go. Yeah, he's playing now.
So I don't know. I'd pick Sandhills Thedford in this game, but who knows? Boy, wouldn't that be something if Angela Litchfield gave him a great game? So that's why they play the games, folks. So there's the setup, and these will all be played tomorrow night in 8-man, and of course Friday night for the 11-man matchups, and get out and see a game. The weather looks to be great for Tuesday and Friday.
Unbelievable in November. You're able
Not
to have
one
these,
bad day have I seen.
It's been fantastic so far.
So no excuse. So we
probably the state finals will be all bundled up in coats and snow.
My wife has said you're going to get punished for state finals.
Well, I'm glad we didn't play this afternoon at 2.
Yeah, that would have been real great. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. We're going to be back in just a moment after a word from Cornhusker Toyota Honda. We're going to talk about state volleyball, and we know the weather's going to be good there.
Yeah.
So
I think 70s and AC.
I think so. 1 mile an hour from all directions for wind. So Jim Langen, E-Dub, and Zach Mayhew, who you saw before, will be back with another version of Bobby Mills Independent Sports Talk right after this.